The Income Tax Department surveys at the BBC office in Mumbai and Delhi entered its third day. Now this came right after the government exercised its emergency powers under the IT Rules 2021 and banned a two-part documentary, The Modi Question, by the BBC that was said to be critical of PM Modi and his alleged role in the Gujarat riots that occurred more than 20 years ago. Now the opposition parties have called out the Modi-led BJP government for its act of desperation. The Congress said that the centre has gone after the BBC amid demands for a joint parliamentary committee probe into the allegation against the Adani group, of course in the context of the Hindenburg report. We'll talk more about the allegations in a bit. For now, let's take a step back into BBC's history in India. So when BBC landed in India, it was an outright imperial broadcaster. However, after India's independence, the British Broadcasting Corporation stayed back and tried to reinvent itself. And today, the BBC not only has one of the biggest overseas operations in India, but also reports on the continent from here. Now, while the opposition has been calling out BJP for its draconian actions, the BJP called BBC the most corrupt organization in the world, and reminded Congress of the time when Indira Gandhi, the then Prime Minister of India, had briefly shut down, or you can say banned, BBC operations twice in India. That's right, twice. Once in 1970 and 1972 for broadcasting two documentaries that showed India in poor light, and again in 1975 when it was expelled during the emergency. In 1970, French filmmaker Louis Malle made two documentary films in India, Calcutta and Phantom India, which showed India and Calcutta in bad light. The filmmaker focused on the poverty of Calcutta rather than the working class. It had caused a huge outrage back then for its prejudicial and negative depictions. Now the Indira Gandhi government was of course not happy and banned documentaries, and the BBC was expelled. Second time was around during emergency. The Indian Express had reported back then that a statement was signed in the year 1975 by 41 Congress MPs accusing the BBC of broadcasting notoriously anti-India stories and asked the government not to allow the BBC to report again from Indian soil. So you see, these surveys are not new for the BBC. Now according to IT officials, the investigation is linked to international taxation issues of BBC subsidiary companies and its operation. This is also not the first time BJP has banned BBC's documentary. In May 2015, if you remember, a documentary about the 2012 gang rape of a 23-year-old physiotherapy student in New Delhi called India's Daughter was also taken down. Now currently the political parties are at each other's throats and calling one another anti-national. Trinamool Congress MP Mahua Moitra took a dig at the centre and called the IT department's move unpredictable, of course sarcastically. Samajwadi Party chief Akhilesh Yadav said their, as in BJP's, end is near. Meanwhile, to bring it to your notice, last year India dropped 8 places to 150 out of the 180 nations in World Press Freedom Index published by the Paris group Reporters Without Borders. Now we want to hear from you. Are these raids or surveys too much of a coincidence right after the ban of the Modi question? Tell us in the comments below.